Hello, welcome to MeLab Studies. In this video, you will learn the most important concept in SQL, and we will be using this concept more frequently in almost all real-world projects, that is, store procedures. A store procedure is a pre-compiled set of SQL queries that we stored with a particular name, so at a later point in time, we can use it again and again. For example, if you're working on an employees data table, so clients ask you to show me different data. For example, here, clients asked today, show me the data of those employees whose salaries are greater than 40,000. Next, department could be a particular department. I'm just considering IT. Next, location could be some other things. I'm just considering location would be Bangalore. So likewise, clients are giving some requirements today. Now, so what you are going to do, you are going to start writing SQL queries to show the data as per the client's requirements. So you started writing on SQL queries and you have written 100 lines of SQL code. So that returns the data that requires by the client. Okay, today it's okay, you have shown the data that clients are asked. Tomorrow clients are going to ask different requirement, that is salary could be greater than 60,000, department could be IT or some other thing, or else you can see IT would be data analytics. Okay, now location could be other thing like Hyderabad. So this is how tomorrow clients are saying their requirements and come and ask you to show those particular data. So what you have to do, again you have to go again these 100 lines of code. You mentioned all values, right, in among these 100 lines of code. So you need to change all values wherever you put all values, right? Now rather going to change all values by going through 100 lines of code, just store all these 100 lines of code with a particular name. And also, while you are assigning a values, you're not going to assign standard values. You will be passing a dynamic value, so that in later point of time, if clients are asking different requirements, we can easily change the direct values in that particular name. So that we are going to call it as a store procedure. Okay, I'll make it very easy how we can create a store procedure, how we can call it. Okay, now you can see here, this is the syntax of it. Syntax of store procedure. So here, this is just like a database object. So as we are creating a table, views and everything, right? So with the help of create command. Similarly, here also we can use create command to create the store procedure. We are going to use that as procedure, create procedure, procedure name. So here, either you can pass the parameters, or you can see, you can directly access the data without having any dynamic parameters. Okay, you have to use as begin. So you have to write here select statement. That could be either retrieving the command or updation or deletion. Okay, we mostly will be using either retrieving the data or updating the data for store procedures. Now you have to end this one. So this is the syntax of creation of store procedure. Now you have created a store procedure. So what we have to do then, we have to call it. How can we call it? With the help of exec command. So exec and procedure name. So this is how we are going to call this store procedure without having any parameters. Now with parameters, how we can pass the values and how we can initialize those parameters. Okay, create procedure, procedure name. Now we are going to initialize the parameters. So here parameter 1, so the data type of it, parameter 2, data type of it, it could be any data type. Okay, and so on. This is how you are going to pass initializing the parameters. Then similarly as begin, you are going to write here SQL statement. Here you are going to use these parameters, okay, in different condition where you will be mentioning all parameters here. Okay, now you have to end this one. Next, so you passed initialize the parameters, then we have to pass the values of those parameters while we are calling this procedure. Let's see here. So you have to call it. How can we call it? With the help of exec command. Exec procedure name. So here we need to pass what is the value of parameter 1, something x, parameter 2, something y. Likewise, we are going to pass all parameters. Okay, this is just like as a function that we discussed before, but in case of function, it will be just working on retrieving the data or just a scalar values. But here, with the help of these store procedures, we can also do either data manipulations or data deletion or data insertion as well, with addition to retrieving the data. Okay, let's see how can we do that. So this is just like a database object, right? So whatever you are going to create a procedure, that will be stored under the database. So you need to ensure in which database you want to create. Okay, I'm just creating this in data analyst one. Okay, analyst database. Now you can able to see that in data analyst. So go to programmability. So these are just like a programs in other languages. Okay, now there is options like functions we discussed in the previous video, right? I hope you have gone through it. So this is one more, that is store procedure. If I click on it, so these are already built-in store procedures will be available. That is system generated store procedure. You can see now all of them. So there are a lot of store procedures are there, and those are automatically built up when you are installing your SSMS. Okay, now you can see lot of getting loaded. You can able to see that these all are system generated or built-in stored procedures. Okay, now there is no other procedure that user defined procedures are not there, right? Now we are going to create one. How can we create? Let's see here. So before that, we are going to use this SQL statement, right, from our existing data table. Okay, let's see what is the table that we want to take. You can see I'm just considering this employees data having different columns. You can see that what are the columns? Employee ID, employee name, age, department, and salary columns are there. Okay, now even if you want to look at that data before, you can see select star from employees. If I execute this query, you can see that this is the data we have. Now we are going to create a data. First we are just considering retrieving the data. Okay, we in real world projects we are going to use mostly either retrieving the data or is updating the data for this store procedure. Okay, let's see that. So I'm just creating procedure name as, I'm just using retrieve, okay, as begin. So I'm just writing select star from employees. Okay, I have to end this one. Now if I execute this query, you can see that command executed, right, completed successfully. Now how can we call it? With the help of exec command. Exec. So what I have to do? Procedure name, right? Procedure name. What is that procedure name? That is retrieve. Okay, now if I execute this query, we will be getting all data from this employees table. That's what we stored it, right? You can see that we are getting all data. This is the exact data from employees table only, right? Having, you can see, total of 20 records. Even if you execute this query also, you will be getting total of 20 records. So this is how you will be storing all this information with a particular store procedure. Okay, but so in order to retrieve the data on the basis of different conditions, as I mentioned before, so there we need to pass the parameters. How can we pass the parameters? We can see now. I'm just creating one more procedure. Create. Here, if you go and check this database here in programmability, if I just store procedure, if I just refresh this once again, you can able to see that this is the retrieve store procedure we just created, right? But without having any parameters. Now you can see if I click on it, you can see there is no parameters. Okay, it returns integer. As it shows that it returns integer means we didn't pass any parameters. Okay, now we are going to create one more procedure. Create procedure name. What is that? I'm just creating now retrieve one of, I'm just initializing different parameters using employee ID. I'm just, this is an integer type. Next, salary, this is also integer type. Next, department, this is a varchar of 20. Okay, as begin. So here I'm just writing select star from employees, where I'm just mentioning conditions now. So where I need to return those employees details whose IDs are less than or equal to 10. Okay, I'm just mentioning less than or equal to. Here we are not going to pass the direct values, we are just passing those variables that we initialized. So we are going to pass these values dynamically. Okay, I'm just using employee ID. Okay, next, and or else you can mention any condition, or salary could be less than 50,000. Okay, 50 or anything, you can mention any value. And department could be equal to, I'm just passing this variable, that is department. Okay, this is how we are not passing direct values with a, in place of direct values we are just passing values dynamically by assigning these variables. Okay, I'm just ending it up. Now if I execute this query, you can see that command successfully executed, right? Now if I go and refresh this one, you can able to see that we have created one more stored procedure. If I click on it, what are the parameters? You can see that. So by default returns integer is common. Okay, now you can see what are the parameters that we are returning. So these are the parameters that we are assigned and initialized. Okay, now while you are executing, I mean exec retrieve one. So if I try to do that, it's going to return error. What is that error? So could not find stored procedure retrieve one. So here that might be the spelling mistake. Let's see here. Now, if I execute now, you will be getting some other error. You can see now what is that error? Procedure or function retrieval expects some parameters, that is employee ID. Right? Let's see. I'm just passing employee ID is equals to 4. Okay. Now, if I execute this query, you can see now we are getting another parameter. So we initialize 3 parameters here, but we are passing only one value, right? So we need to ensure that we have to pass all parameter values. I'm just using salary is equals to here whatever the value that we are trying to do. So here salary I've passed directly, right? So in place of 60, I'm just mentioning this one, that is salary. Otherwise, we'll be getting a constant, right? So here I'm just passing the value of 60,000 here. Okay. Now next one. So even if I execute this query, it will be returning some more error. What is that error? We need to pass the department parameter as well. Okay. So I'm just passing department equal to ID. Okay. Now so we already created this one with 60,000, right? So even if I execute this one with any other value, it's not going to take it. Let's see here. I'm just passing here 80,000. Okay. Here, because of here we didn't pass that value. In place of this one, we already executed this query with 60,000, right? So that's why it's even if you are mentioning any value, it won't consider. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to change this to alter. Okay, alter so that we are passing this parameter dynamically. You can see that it changed. Now I'm going to pass this value here dynamically 60,000. Now if I execute this query, you can able to see the data as per these conditions. Tomorrow, if clients are asking different responses, you just change these values. Okay, you can able to see that what are the responses here. You are returning the data as per the condition like employee ID is less than or equal to something. Okay, salary has to be less than or equal to something, and department should be something. So in these two conditions, any of the condition has to be satisfied, and this should be satisfied. Those should be in IT department. Okay. Okay, now you can see that we are retrieving some data, right? So as per these requirements, even now, if you change this unto R, now this is already alter command is there. If I execute this query, you can able to see that we are passing different condition. Now you can see we are getting another data, right? So this is how, even if tomorrow clients are asking for different responses, you just change these values, or else you can just change this condition. Okay, mostly they are changing the values preferable, right? So you can easily change these values and you can able to see the data easily, right? So this is just a retrieving the data. Even now you can able to update the data as well. Okay, now I'm just creating one more procedure, update. Okay, update one. I'm just passing different parameters. I'm just copying this one, pasting here. Now similarly as begin, but in place of select command, I'm just using update. Update, what is update? Update employees table, set salary equal to something 77,000. Okay, where employee ID is less than or equal to here. In place of constant value, we can also pass dynamic value, right? So I'm just using salary. Okay. Next, employee ID, I'm just passing dynamic value. That is variables that we assign. Employee ID and department, I'm just passing to those departments only. That is department. Okay. Now I'm just ending this up. Now if I execute this query, we'll be creating one more stored procedure with name of update one. You can able to see that here. If I refresh this once, you can able to see that we are getting one more stored procedure with the name of update one. Now, how can you execute with help of exec update one? So if I execute this one directly, it will be returning error. So we have to pass the parameters as we initialize 3 parameters, right? So now I'm passing those parameters, that is employee ID equal to 10. Okay. Next, salary, what is the salary you want to update? You can mention 77,000 here. Next, department could be any department here. You can mention department. I'm just mentioning engineering. Now, if I execute this query, you can see that 2 rows got affected. That means 2 rows updated. Okay. Now, if you look at this employees table, you can able to see that 77,000 will be there for this department. That is engineering department. You can see engineering department 77,000. Now you can able to see that one more engineering 77,000. So this is how you will be using this store procedure. Rather you are changing all values dynamically by passing through, by going through all lines of code. You just use to store all of them with a particular name that we are going to call it as a store procedure. Then while you are executing them, you are going to change this value so that all data, whatever the data that you want, you will be getting it. Okay. I hope you understood. Thank you.